Deep beneath the ancient mountains of the north, where darkness reigns and echoes whisper of forgotten crimes, there sleeps a terror born not of nature's design, but of man's own heart. This is the tale of Fafnir, once a dwarf, prince of his kind, transformed by the most human of sins into one of the most fearsome dragons in all of Norse mythology. His story is one of betrayal, murder, and insatiable greed. A cautionary tale that has survived over 1,000 years, warning us that the greatest monsters are not born, they are made. The tale of Fafnir comes to us primarily from the ancient Norse sagas, stories composed in medieval Iceland that preserved the mythology and legends of the pre-Christian North. Two primary sources tell us of Fafnir's fate: the Poetic Edda, a collection of Old Norse poems compiled in the 13th century, and the Volsunga Saga, a prose narrative from the same period. Both describe a tragedy that begins not with scales and fire, but with a family and a fateful treasure. In the beginning, Fafnir was no dragon. He was a dwarf, one of the Svartalfar, or dark elves, who dwelled beneath the earth. His father was Hreidmar, a powerful dwarf king, and he had two brothers, Regan, a smith of exceptional skill, and Ota, who possessed the magical ability to take the form of an otter. Even before his transformation, Fafnir was described as the strongest and most aggressive of the brothers, qualities that would later serve him well in his dragon form. But to understand how a dwarf prince became one of mythology's most feared dragons, we must follow the cursed gold that catalyzed his transformation. The tragedy began innocently enough. Otar, in his otter form, was fishing by a waterfall called Andvari's Falls when three traveling Aesir gods, Odin, Loki, and Hoenir, spotted him. Mistaking Otar for a common otter, Loki struck and killed him with a stone. The gods, pleased with their hunt, skinned the otter and brought the pelt to Hreidmar's hall, seeking shelter for the night. But Hreidmar immediately recognized the skin as that of his son. Enraged with grief, he and his remaining sons, Fafnir and Regan, seized the gods and demanded compensation. They must fill the otter's skin with gold and then cover it completely with red gold. Odin sent Loki to fulfill this demand. Loki captured the dwarf Andvari, who lived beneath the waterfall in the form of a pike. Andvari possessed a vast treasure, including a magical ring called Andvaranaut that could create more gold.
This gold shall be the death of whoever owns it. Not one man shall enjoy its gleam without paying with his life.
When the gods paid the ransom, filling and covering Otter's skin with gold, Hreidmar was satisfied. But Loki, before departing, revealed the curse.
This gold shall be your doom and the doom of all who possess it hereafter.
Already the curse was taking hold. As Fafnir gazed upon the shimmering hoard, something dark awakened in his heart. A hunger that would consume not only his family, but his very humanity. The curse worked quickly. Soon after the gods departed, Fafnir's greed overwhelmed him. He coveted the treasure for himself and plotted against his own father. In the dead of night, Fafnir slew Hreidmar as he slept, his own father, murdered for gold. When Regan demanded his share of the inheritance, Fafnir refused, threatening his brother with death should he remain. Burdened with treasure and sin, Fafnir fled into the wilderness to a place called Gnita Heath. There, alone with his hoard, a terrible transformation began. The ancient texts tell us that Fafnir donned the Helm of Terror, Aegis Hjalmur, a magical artifact that struck fear into the hearts of any who beheld it. But the magic of the helm, combined with the curse of the gold and the corruption in Fafnir's heart, triggered a metamorphosis. His body elongated and grew. Scales erupted from his skin. His teeth lengthened into fangs, and poison flowed through his veins. Fafnir had become what the Norse called a lindworm, a serpentine dragon that spewed poison rather than fire. But more than his physical form had changed. Fafnir had fully embraced the nature of the dragon, a creature of insatiable greed, concerned only with guarding its treasure hoard. Day after day, year after year, he lay upon his gold, his hatred of all other beings growing alongside his massive form. Meanwhile, Regan had not forgotten his brother's betrayal. A masterful smith, he bided his time, honing his skills and waiting for the perfect instrument of his revenge. That instrument came in the form of Sigurd, called Siegfried in the German tradition. a young prince of the fearsome clan. Orphaned at birth, Sigurd was placed under Regan's care. The smith raised the boy, all the while nursing thoughts of using him against Fafnir.
There lies a treasure on Nita Heath, guarded by my brother, who has taken the form of a dragon. Help me reclaim what is rightfully mine, and great riches shall be yours.
To aid Sigurd in his quest, Regan forged a magnificent sword called Gram. Created from the shards of Sigurd's father's sword, Gram was so sharp and strong that when Sigurd tested it by striking Regan's anvil, the blade cut clean through the anvil to the floor beneath. Armed with this mighty weapon, Sigurd journeyed with Regan to Nita Heath. But as they approached Fafnir's lair, Regan's courage failed him, and he hung back while Sigurd went forward alone. On the advice of an old man, Odin in disguise, Sigurd dug a pit in the path Fafnir took to drink at a nearby stream. There, the hero would wait for the dragon to pass over him, allowing him to strike from below, directly at the vulnerable heart. For years, Fafnir had lived in solitude, the land around his lair poisoned by his venom, the local people too terrified to approach. But on this day, thirst drove him from his gold as it did every day, crawling on his belly toward the water. The earth trembled with Fafnir's approach. From his hiding place in the pit, Sigurd could see the dragon's massive underbelly sliding above him, scales glinting dully in the morning light. With all his strength, he thrust Gram upward into the dragon's heart. Fafnir's death was not instant. Mortally wounded, he thrashed and writhed, his poisonous blood flowing down the blade toward Sigurd. But the hero leapt from the pit, facing the dying dragon. In his final moments, Fafnir warned Sigurd about the cursed treasure.
The glittering gold and the glowing treasure, the rings shall be your death. Take my counsel, Sigurd, ride away while you can. The rings are cursed, and all who possess this treasure will meet their doom.
But Sigurd, young and proud, dismissed the warning. The dragon lay dead, and the vast treasure was now within his grasp. What he did not see was Regan approaching from behind, his eyes fixed not on his dead brother, but on the treasure that would soon be his. Regan, having stayed clear of the battle, now came forward with strange demands.
Cut out the heart and roast it for me. After my brother's heart has warmed my own, I will sleep well tonight.
Sigurd did as asked, cutting out the heart and preparing to cook it over a fire. But as he tested whether the heart was fully cooked, he burned his thumb and instinctively put it in his mouth. The moment Fafnir's blood touched his tongue, something miraculous happened. Suddenly Sigurd could understand the language of birds chirping nearby.
There sits Regan, plotting how to betray the one who trusts him.
He means to avenge his brother by killing Sigurd.
If Sigurd were wise, he would take the treasure for himself and strike first.
Looking up, Sigurd saw Regan approaching with murder in his eyes. The smith who had raised him, who had sent him against Fafnir, now sought to kill him and claim the entire treasure. Acting on the bird's warning, Sigurd struck first, slaying Regan with a single blow from Gram. Now, Sigurd alone remained with Fafnir's vast hoard, including the ring Andvaranaut, the helm of terror, and a golden treasure that shone as brightly as the sun. Though he had been warned of the treasure's curse by both Fafnir and the birds, Sigurd took the gold. This decision would eventually lead to his downfall, as the curse followed him to the courts of men, ultimately resulting in betrayal and his own death. The tale of Fafnir reminds us that monsters often begin as something else, that greed and betrayal can transform even the noblest of beings into creatures of nightmare. The dragon that was once a dwarf serves as a warning across the centuries. Beware the treasure that costs your soul. In the countless retellings across Germanic and Norse mythology, in the later adaptations including Wagner's Ring Cycle and Tolkien's works, Fafnir remains one of literature's most tragic dragons, a being whose monstrous exterior reflected the corruption within. And somewhere, perhaps, the curse of Andvari's gold still lingers, waiting for the next heart weak enough to be consumed by its gleam. Thanks for watching our exploration of Fafnir, the dwarf who became a dragon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more tales of dragons throughout history and across cultures.